Hello, welcome to a bonus episode of the CGB show. This is a request from a patron. They sent me a deck list to play. It is a Jeskai control list, and the username said they would like to go by Slime. It's a toughie one to pronounce. Just say Slime, they said, so I will. I only made one change to this Izzet sort of Superfriends list. Well, I changed the mana base for one, and I filled out the rare dual lands. But the other change that I made is I removed 2 copies of Risk Factor. I don't really understand it and don't think it's a very good idea to play cards like Risk Factor when you're not pressuring your opponent's life total in any other way. So I removed the Risk Factors from the deck, and there were 2 of them. I added a Deafening Clarion and another Karn, Scion of Urza. So one to be a sweeper that affects the board, and the other to be a way to get deeper in the deck. Other than that, the deck is exactly as they presented it to me, which is like a Jeskai Superfriends list with 4 Devious Cover-Ups to shuffle your best cards back into the deck. Normally I'd want to play a Jumpstart card in this, like, what is it, Chemist's Insight? And I think Devious Cover-Up is just holding that spot, so I can't really do that. And I'm curious to see how it works anyway. I haven't had somebody push a card like Devious Cover-Up to the max yet, and this is my chance to do it. I also like that there's a Niv hanging out. There's a lot of raw Teferi going on. We don't have like a big sweeper, so one thing I'm going to have to keep in mind is we're going to have to counter things like Ghalta and things like Nullhide Ferox on time, or we might be in big trouble. The only other way to really handle that would be minusing my Planeswalkers, especially with a card with hexproof creatures. That could be very difficult. Let's go out and play a few games. And thank you to Slime for supporting on Patreon and for using your deck request feature. For those wondering, my Patreon supporters at $5 and up get to request a deck of their choice each month. I'll play it on stream, or I'll make a YouTube video of it, depending on what kind of time I have and how full the deck queue is. The deck queue has been very full. It's taken me about a week to get to requests right now since the launch of Guilds of Ravnica, but that's got to be a pretty good sign too, as so many people want to see their decks played. This deck might be slow, and if Negate can't catch something, it might do nothing till turn 4, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Let's hope we're up against a control deck, not an aggro deck that will just run us over. It's also nice to draw an Essence Scatter off the top, as now we have the versatility of Negate and Essence Scatter. Our opponent on the play with a Knight of Grace gets to start the party. Let's hope that this Negate gets to catch a History of Benalia. That would be just about perfect. And then we get to go counter, 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 Rawl. Alright, we'll go with the Essence Scatter since it's another Knight of Grace. And our opponent sticks on 2 lands. That's very unfortunate for them. I'm sure they're sweating this draw step. Instead of taking this attack, well, I guess they still could have a History of Benalia, so I will wait till end step to Lightning Strike this and see if... Okay, the opponent didn't have another play, so now we'll send off the Lightning Strike. And we've dealt with their first 2 creatures. We'll play the Mountain. Sacred Foundry can come in untapped for a shock. We will do that next turn, but I want to have Cover-Up available this turn. It looks like Abzan Knights is the way. So we'll pay 2 life, and we'll get a Rawl down and get to work. Even though we have all counter spells in hand.
Because the other one's going bye-bye.
So I'm definitely going to take the shock. So I have something to deal with a permanent that may end up on the battlefield. Another Knight. And Assassin's Trophy takes Rawl out. What do we want? We have red, 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 white, 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 and blue, blue, blue. So let's look in our hand, and it looks like the most common color is blue. So I will go get that. I could also take a red just to have, if our opponent played something, we might have the shock available. I guess that's better than anything else. If our opponent goes land and plays another Knight, for example. Or a Dauntless Bodyguard, there it is. So that worked out. Okay, and we drew a land. That can help us protect Rawl if we have a blue open. Looks like we do. And now it looks like things are definitely going to get
Think you can beat me?
Get ugly.
You're welcome to try.
We'll take the retreat because it enters untapped without paying life. Here comes a Conclave Tribunal. We will meet that with a Negate. The Heartbreaker Negate, the one where you remove the thing that would deal with the Planeswalker.
Oh, come on.
I've done it, and I've been on the other side of it. I know the feeling from both sides. It is great and not great. Knight of Malice. Given our hand, I think I will just fire off some counter spells at these things and go 1 for 1. As long as we're trading 1 for 1 and taking Raw up, we're in a good spot. And of course, there's Teferi. There's Teferi.
Killing me.
Teferi, the Dream Crusher. And our opponent doesn't even stay to see it. So yeah, that is color by numbers. Deal with your thing, deal with your thing, deal with your thing. Play a Planeswalker. Get it to live. Just... that's good old horrific Planeswalker Super Friend magic. Didn't even need a sweeper. It's horrific to be on the other side of. But when you're doing it, you're king of the world, right? So this hand might be way too slow. But still, I'm going to keep it. We have 4 Deafening Clarions to draw to get us back in it. And you gotta love the mana. It just covers all of our colors. So if our opponent does play a bunch of critters, we'll have to find a Clarion. Alright. Instead, we see an Ionize right away, which that's not bad. A few counters, a few Planeswalkers. But Search for Azcanta slips through the cracks from the opponent. Here's to see where this one leads. Binning and Izzet Gate. Interesting. Alright, well, I'm going to play you tapped. Since I have an Ionize available, don't have to take the damage. The question is our opponent going to sit on 1,000,000 counter spells? Do we just run out our cards because of the Search for Azcanta? Or do we wait for the Search to Azcanta to flip? Or perhaps for our opponent to get restless? It's most certain that we won't be able to resolve anything into this. Therefore, trying might be just a terrible endeavor. We should probably wait and see if we can draw more cards or wear down our opponent's will. Also, when they flip this, well, it's hard to make me to want to help the opponent flip it faster by letting them play their counter spells on our spells. But once they do flip it, who knows? We might be able to do more because our opponent will want to activate the Search, and it will make it harder for them to do it if we're casting spells and fighting counter wars while the Search is on the battlefield. There's 2 ways to look at it. I don't think either is good. I think Search is going to be a pretty tough card for us to deal with. And I may have to take a shot at Teferiing it, as they're on 4 cards. Another Teferi. Well, do we just start playing our things? Hope the opponent runs out? You can only have so many, right? And right now they're on 4, so counter takes it to 5. Next turn, another counter. 5, 6, 7, they can flip. They could also flip if they have Sinister Sabotage right here. It's difficult, but surely they have something to play sometime. Yeah, I'm gonna keep sitting. It feels so wrong. But I don't think there's a right. Does sitting make my situation better? Yeah, maybe. Eventually we can fight a proper counter war. Now, Arclight Phoenix is interesting. It makes me wonder if my opponent plays counter spells at all. I see the Essence Scatter. I'm going to fire off the Shock on end step, even though it could hit an Arclight Phoenix someday. Alright. One more turn here. And they keep a full grip, but now we have Ionize available. Alright. Well, if I can fight the Teferi through, it can nail the Search, so I guess I'll go for it. And let the battles begin. There's a Negate. Let's hit it with an Ionize. Resolves.
If you show
Let's bury
remorse,
it.
I'll show restraint.
If the opponent now shocks or kills the Teferi, that's... At least we know we fought our way through the counter magic. Oh, blink of an eye. Interesting. Okay. Well, they can replay it this turn. Let's see if they also kill my Teferi or not. Yeah, there's a lightning strike for it.
That enough.
My opponent shows that they have Negate, but they don't seem to have a huge mass of counter spells. It's interesting. So let's go for a Teferi again. Got it. And let's fire away at the search again. And there's the blink of an eye again. I think I just countered the blink of an eye. I could counter the search on the way back down and be done with it, but I think countering the blink of an eye here is better. It prevents the opponent from drawing another card, getting a card deeper.
Fast.
And now we just have to untap and have cover-up available for the search when the time comes. Yep, the strikes for the Teferis.
Stop that now.
But we're on 3-3, and we know our opponent, unless they top decked, isn't on another counter spell. But here's a mission briefing. What's that going to do? Are they trying to get to the Arclight Phoenix? I guess they could cast Opt, and they're surveilling too, so they can put, yeah, they can put the search on top and recast it. So that's really good. That's really good. But I guess I'll get Ral, and it'll be search versus Ral. They do get the Phoenix. Living the good life.
What would you risk to beat me? Decisions.
Oh, I meant... that's too bad. I definitely meant to take Niv, and I didn't do it right. That's a big whiff on my part. That's about as bad a whiff as they come. I think I'm going to regret that one. Although there is a Beacon Bolt. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Let's use a strike and protect the loyalty on Raph. Our opponent's looking at search. Let's see what they hit. They find a negate, some kind of countermeasure. They found their own Ral. Yeah, Ral. So they can still cast that this turn through the window, which is too bad. And it's gonna get grindy. And I can't believe I threw away my Niv. That's pretty epic. Pretty epic fail.
Decisions.
I guess more cover-ups protect my Ral, which is just a little bit ahead of my opponent's if we can ultimate it. Of course, if my opponent finds 3 spells to rub together, I can't stop the Phoenix with this hand.
Hope we get something good.
Me too. They keep it on top. That's bad for us. That I need to exile. And let's shuffle back in you, and you, and you, and you. Or I guess I'll take an Ionize. So, one more spell to get the Arclight Phoenix back, and it's a blink of an eye to return my Ral. If my opponent's going to get their Phoenix back anyway, perhaps we want that? But we're on 7 loyalty. We'd be at 4. If we replayed it, but do we want to spend the mana to replay it? And our opponent didn't use Kicker either, which means they may have another counter spell. Would I rather counter the counter? Or have another cover-up? It's a tough call. think I'll go with the Ionize. And it does resolve. Our opponent's at 10, by the way. If we can find the cards to finish the game. Ooh, doesn't go for Ral. I'm stunned. Maybe a misclick on our opponent's part, as this does put Ral on ultimate threat.
Time to choose. Always so exciting.
And I do think I have to try to kill off the Phoenix and make my opponent bring it back yet again. Make them cast 3 spells a turn every turn forever. My opponent also now threatening to ultimate their Ral. And they bin an Ionize? Wow. What would you take? I mean, I'm going to cover that up. And we'll get this back, and this back, and this back, and this back. And yeah, they found their own Ionize. That's rough. That's rough.
Ow! Good aim.
So they must have revealed 2 Ionize, but hey, we got a counter for the Drake. And we draw land. Gross. Come on, where's all that cool stuff I put in the deck? I guess I'll take a Karn. Go for that. Ral ultimating is pretty scary.
Are you certain of your decision?
Oh man. Oh man. It's all going not according to plan. And our opponent's going to get to ultimate the Ral. And I don't know how we deal with that with them having a search for his Kanta. I'm pretty sure we just lose. And I'm pretty sure this whole thing could have been a lot better. But I didn't find... or I found my Niv, but I binned it with a misclick. A pretty epic misclick. That's a good card. Ooh, targeting the Planeswalker. I guess you can kill it with the Ral emblem too.
Your efforts are futile.
Yeah, this game's gonna end ugly. Wait, what did my opponent do? Oh, they targeted Karn and Ral? Weird.
Decisions.
Too many counters, not enough removal. That's what I'm feeling right now in the deck. Which one do you want to give me? Alright, double Karn. Great.
I have faced worse than... I'll make use of that.
And none of those are removal spells, so that's game. So, yeah, we felt the pain of no search for his Kanta and bad misclicks. I'm sorry, Slime. However, I do think you can definitely pick up a lot of points from having your own search for his Kantas in your deck. It's such a glaring absence, especially with Teferi. I mean, the Teferi search for his Kanta synergy of untapping it is so great. And there's just so many decks you can play search for his Kanta in. Not having it just never... It doesn't feel right. It feels like you forgot the card existed or don't have the rare wild cards for it, potentially. Also, this card, it's... Putting the cards back in your deck is not the same as drawing them. It's just not. It never will be. It feels like you're getting value from it, but you're really not. You're paying too much for a cancel and hoping that over the long term you'll draw those cards again. But as you saw in that game, we just couldn't even do it. Not even with the help of Karn and Ral. We just never saw the cards we shuffled back in. Or if we did, they didn't help us. That's why I think Chemister's Insight is by far the better card for the spot. It works better with Teferi because of the untapped lands. It works better in the control mirrors because you're just always doing stuff with your mana instead of sitting there. So it's hard for me not to preach for, please add search for his Kanta. Please use Chemister's Insight. Our opponent opting and opting away. Alright, the Guild Gate, and there is the enemy itself. We're very lucky to have an Ionize ready this time. And this time we straight draw Niv, so I don't accidentally toss it in my graveyard like a fool. And if our opponent's playing Arclight Phoenix, maybe I'll just hang on to this, but they didn't have that many counter spells last time, so it's tempting to jam this. However, I really want it to follow the Niv, because if I play Niv, the opponent can't counter it, and then they have to spend their turn dealing with it, and then I untap and play Teferi. It's brutal. It's what we're going for. And what do we need to draw? I think that'll do. Yep. Enjoy. Even if they have like lightning strike, I'm a happy person. And if they have a Drake, I can kill it with something as small as a shock. Alright, they have Rawl, but Rawl doesn't do enough damage.
Ooh, let's see what we got.
It does put Niv off perhaps for a turn, but when we get to untap with this thing, the game kind of ended.
Lucky shot.
Not exactly.
Nothing. I remember.
So many
hurts.
Sounds of exasperation. Not only that, then we get to lead on a Teferi, untap some lands. It's gonna get nasty. Teferi draws cards. You draw cards with Niv, it shoots things. So vicious. Niv-Mizzet. Doesn't do anything when it enters the battlefield, so I'll say fine. I can kill it with just about any spell. Second Niv-Mizzet. I guess I can go ahead and Essence Scatter this one. Let's start here. And then we'll deal an extra point to it with the Niv, and then it takes 2, so it's down to 1 toughness. Then we Essence Scatter this Drake, we draw a card, and we kill the other Drake. And that is enough to bring the scoop. Niv-Mizzet. I mean, we called Lyra Dawnbringer on stream the scoop bringer, but perhaps Niv-Mizzet, the true scoop bringer. Well, I hope you enjoyed this bonus video in this deck. Again, I don't know if Slime is looking for suggestions or if he wants to change his deck, but if I were doing it, I would run, at least as a start, I don't know about all the numbers being perfect, but I would get Chemister's Insight into the deck. I would remove Devious Cover-Up. I'd also remove Karn, and I would add Search for Azcanta. And from there, seems like a pretty good list to me. That would probably be reasonably competitive. I'd also go to the 4th Teferi if I could, and to 2 Rawls. I just think that Teferi is that significantly better, and its minus ability, able to deal with any permanent, including Planeswalkers, artifacts, and enchantments, is better than Rawls. That I think a split like this is justified. But that's where I go with the deck. Anyway, if it were my thing, I hope you enjoyed Slime. I hope you especially enjoyed. If you're interested in getting your deck played for a YouTube video, check out the link to Patreon below and have a look at the rewards that you can receive as a patron. And I will see you, as always, in the next video. Good night.